Okay, my friends, be prepared to be extremely shocked. The first fecal transplant in humans was performed in 1958, and it has been performed in animals for more than 100 years. The history of fecal transplants, and guess what? That is the new cure for virtually everything. Okay, my friends, this is NBC News, and they're talking about the FDA approves the first pill for fecal transplants made from poop, really. But it's clean and healthy poop. And this is the first time they approved it, and it's used for curing incurable C. difficile. You have to have 3 rejections of drugs, and then they'll allow you to have this. Well, let me show you something about this particular procedure. Okay, my friends, this is kind of shocking. This is CDI, which is C. difficile, and this is the burden of CDI in the United States, a multifactorial challenge, a very challenging disease. This is just 2023 here, just within days ago. They're talking about Clostridium difficile infection affects approximately 500,000 patients annually in the United States alone. Of these, around 30,000 will die. CDI carries significant burdens, including clinical, social, economic. It's a disaster. Now, why can't we treat it? Can we treat it? Well, it appears we can. Look at this. This is in 1978. The value of fecal microbiota transplant was widely recognized in treating intestinal condition called Clostridium difficile, C-Diff, just what I was talking about. Resistant diarrhea. 95%, over 95% of the cases, the cure was quick and permanent. That's in 1978. This is fecal matter transplant for autism spectrum. This is from 2022, but they've known about this for a while. Now, this is for autism, but everything is caused by gut disorder. It says an open-label study, 2-year follow-up, showed that the fecal matter transplant was relatively safe and it was significantly alleviating gastrointestinal and neurobehavioral symptoms in children with ASD without any adverse negative side effects. In general, FMT appears safe both in the short term and long term. That's 2 years afterwards. Now, they say in the conclusion, we got to do some research. The microbiota gut-brain axis. All right, here's the conclusion. The microbiota brain-gut axis plays an important role in the gastrointestinal symptom and neurological development and dysfunction of the patients that have autism. Fecal matter transplant can alter the gut microbiota and improve the gastrointestinal as well as neurobehavioral symptoms. All right, this is Yale University. You ever heard the thing, eat poop and die? Well, not poop, but that type of thing. They got eat, poop, and live. Now, this goes back 6 years ago. And they're talking about how the bacteria, they understood it. They fully understand it. They were even talking about when a camel defecated. This is in World War II with the Germans in the desert. The Germans noticed that the nomads would quickly scoop up the dung and ingest some of it while it was still steaming. When they were sick, they'd follow the camels around and they'd grab a chunk of it and eat it. After close scrutiny of the dung, the Corps discovered the dung was loaded with Bacterium Bacillus subtilis. All right, now listen to this. This is important, how specific bacteria is. Listen to this carefully. It was loaded with the Bacterium Bacillus subtilis. This species, this Bacillus subtilis, is in the same genus as terribly pathogenic, that means killer, destructive species, Bacillus anthracus. All right, causes anthrax. You see it, Bacillus anthracus, Bacillus subtilis. They're 2 different species of the same basic bacteria. One is just a little different. It creates a different chemistry, a different enzyme. Now, the good one, Bacteria subtilis, and Bacillus subtilis, cured their stomach disorders. Bacillus anthracus causes anthrax, which is often lethal respiratory disease. Bacillus subtilis, however, has since become one of those bacterial species considered good for humans. Just a little taste off one way or the other. The same almost exact bacteria creates one little extra unit, and it causes something to be good or something to be bad. And it goes down through this whole thing about how important the bacteria that's in the poop is for us. So this is not just me making this up. Okay, we know about C-Diff now. That's a nightmare which should be easily corrected. You just give them the fecal matter transplant first thing, no drugs. It's safe and effective. What about autism? Same thing. Autism is caused by chemistry that's not working correctly. Okay, so we know that we can cure C. diff if they would allow it without taking the drugs. Why take the drugs 3 times before you can take the fecal matter transplant? Now, what about autism? Same thing with autism. It is a gut disorder. It's a gut disorder. Listen to this. This is using fecal microbiota transplants with autism. It goes through a whole thing about all kinds of stuff they did, and we did all this and that. Well, why don't you just cut to the chase? Risk of adverse events. Open label study 2-year follow-up showed that FMT is relatively safe in significantly alleviating gastrointestinal and neurobehavioral symptoms. That's stimming and humming and not being vocal and all the kind of things that autism creates in the kids. So this is a 2-year follow-up after having the fecal matter transplant, relatively safe in significantly alleviating the gut problems, just like everybody else's gut problems. Neurobehavioral symptoms also being alleviated in children with autism without any adverse negative side effects. In general, FMT appears safe in both the short term and long term. This is autism. What we need is somebody that's like a basketball player or some celebrity that has a kid with autism that wants to get this out in the open. This is crazy to keep this hidden. And this is literally hidden. They won't allow these very, very simple cures. And I'm going to show you how bacteria and all the different bugs and even cancer is the same thing. If you don't have the enzymes right in this layer right here, which are produced by bacteria, you cannot fight that invader. And here's what the bacteria are. Here they are right here. They live in your body and they squirt out these little polypeptide beads. And these polypeptide beads turn into attackers. Now, if you don't have that enzyme, so here's what you got. You got enzymes, which are created from bacteria. Bacteria squirt out the enzymes. Enzymes are proteins, and those proteins attack. They're these things right here. They go through your body and attack molecules that fit this exact signature. I mean, it is elegant. So they know exactly who to attack, and they kill them. If you don't have these enzymes, it's because you don't have the bacteria. Simple as that. The bacteria are the factory to create these. So this is why this fecal microbiota transplant it's absolutely critical. But we have to get deep into the research, and they have not done that because there's no funding for that, because it takes away their money. So if there's no funding for it, we need somebody that's got a ton of money, says, my kid's sick and I want this fixed. Here's $10 million, get this thing done. And we need some bacteriologists. And I know some people, I've been working on this for a long time. And we need to get a database of what actual bacteria is in the body. What bacteria is. They just did a database of, they found 30,000 new viruses. And that virus is nothing different, zero difference than enzymes. They're exactly the same thing. A virus is an encapsulated little particle like this that goes into a cell and takes over the mechanism of the cell. And all of this mechanism here says, here's what I want you to make. And then it squirts out something that it wasn't supposed to squirt out. That's when your body is attacked, and then those things grow, and then you get cancer and so forth, or whatever it causes. In autism, what happens is there's a layer on all of your nerves. And if you could penetrate that layer and squirt something into it, you're going to do all kinds of crazy things. Now, I worked with a woman that had a son who was in desperate problems. They wouldn't even take him in for an autism study because he was so far off the spectrum. He was nonverbal, and he was coming up on, I think it was 8 or 9 years old by the time I got involved. And the first thing I said to her was, what's his poop like? And she says, oh, all the kids have the same thing with autism. I said, yeah, it's a digestive system. And she did, hold on, she actually made a chart and checked his urine and his feces every day, what color it was, and what, all of this different. And then we started adding a little bit of chemistry here and there. She went to Harvard to study ribosomes and now he's in pretty good shape. It's not perfect, I don't think, but he's verbal, and he's interacting, and it's pretty heartwarming, I got to be honest with you. So my point being here is that they are literally suppressing this. This is 1958. They knew that they could cure Clostridium difficile very, very quickly, and they're just not allowing it. That's not right. All right, I just told you they mapped 30,000 new viruses. Well, viruses are nothing more than enzymes. When the right bacteria are present in the right quantities, in the right conditions, they produce enzymes. Right? That's the product of enzymes, much more economically than people can manufacture. Enzymes are not alive, same as viruses. They say, oh, a virus isn't alive, it just floats around in a capsule. I can believe, I go along with that. It's the same thing with enzymes. But if you don't have an enzyme, you can't get all of that chemistry done instantly. And this is... bacteria are the factories. Hold on a second. Okay, we're talking about bacteria and enzymes in chemistry. Well, bacteria are the factories that produce enzymes. Enzymes are the chemicals. It's as simple as that. All right, enzymes are not alive. They are complex chemicals produced by bacteria. They cannot reproduce by themselves, but they actually consume waste. That is exactly what a virus does. It's not alive, viruses. They're very complex chemical packages. They cannot reproduce themselves. They take over and do things in your body, but primarily they take over and manipulate our cells. Enzymes break down foods very, very quickly, break down the things in your digestive system so that you can digest them. And they also attack invaders. They're very, very complex. As I showed you, this is what they look like. That's how and when they come out of the bacteria, all right, they squirt out these little, what they call ribosomes. This is what Marguerite went to Harvard to study, what the ribosomes consist of and how they work and how they genetically operate. And this is basically what the ribosomes, they make these polypeptide chains and they put them in a ball, into a little capsule, and they send it out through the body like this. And it attacks anything that has that same magnetic signature. So all this stuff is magnetic. Every little bit of this is magnetic. Every little one of these spots, these little attachments. So if they see something that fits that, they go bang. And because of the magnetism, just like light, it's with the speed of light, every molecule that follows this signature of this magnetic signature, it gets clicked. And that click changes its chemistry. It will click something out of this chemistry. And then that, whatever it was that was attacking you, dies. And that's what a tumor is. So now, if you had an enzyme in this layer right here, this is where those enzymes live, in that particular little stretchy layer there. That's your immune system. Literally, that's your immune system. Now, if it senses somebody's coming through here to attack, they send one of those little balls out there, and it goes click, and they all die at once. That's the way it should work. And if your body has all the enzymes and all the proteins and so forth in it, and all of the, you also need chemistry too. This is not just having the right enzymes, because, well, first of all, you need the right bacteria, because you only get half of the job done. You only get half of the job done with the enzymes. The enzymes break things, but then the bacteria's got to go pick it up. The bacteria consume the waste, and they bring it to where it's got to be delivered to be destroyed. This is a company that's called Ultra Clear, and they make these bacteria and enzymes to clean up water supplies. And this is very, very nicely presented, very easy to understand. You need the right quantities and the right enzymes, but they're all produced by the bacteria. Bacteria are the living cells which have the capability of consuming waste, so these gobble them up and bring them over to your lymph nodes and so forth. They can reproduce themselves, the bacteria, and they produce enzymes. There's factories that produce the enzymes. It's time to get this out and known. We could cure people very quickly. The hospitalization system does not work well. And the people that have this long COVID, I'm sure they treated them with something, and now they got some kind of problem with their gut. I imagine their long COVID people probably have some gut-related issues as well. It's just they go hand in hand. Hippocrates said that all disease starts in the gut. That was a couple thousand years ago. Okay, I'm not going to use any of their stuff. Rapid resolution of COVID-19 after fecal microbiota transplant. It works for virtually everything because your gut is being destroyed. That's when you get sick. You need to replenish your gut so you can attack. So here it is. It's flush with this. COVID-19 gastrointestinal symptoms. Gastrointestinal systems common in COVID-19 patients. They all get the same thing, stomach bugs from COVID-19. And then some reoccur, some get better and some don't. The ones that don't have this problem with long COVID. Increasing evidence suggests the GI distress lasting 6 months or longer might be symptom of long COVID. A symptom of your gut is still out of balance. All right, this just came out the other day. This is NBC News. Now, I expect them to comment on this. They're saying if FDA finally approves the first pill to take pills for fecal transplants made from healthy bacteria and human waste, the pill offers an easy way to perform fecal transplants. Most patients rely on a network of stool banks and a very sophisticated treatment system where they go in and get colonoscopies, but they will only let you have it after you fail their drugs 3 times, which are very expensive. The cost is, well, here's the cost. It's like $25,000 to treat it. And they have other ones that say the cost is less, $15,000, so forth. But why? A fecal matter transplant is cost and effective instantly, basically. What about autism? Okay, virtually every one of these diseases, they always talk about how FMT seems to work fine, but not only well-designed human studies are needed to confirm the effects, but also elucidated research to explore the mechanisms. Well, it's the bacteria creating the enzymes. The enzymes are the chemistry. The chemistry is designed to protect you. They're designed by bacteria. And there is literally thousands and thousands. There's 10 times more bacterial cells in you than there is you in you. 10 times more. They're just starting to come around to this. And it's because of the new interstitial layer that they discovered not too long ago, which is the fluid-filled highway, which brings all these enzymes and these bacteria around. And I'll show you that membrane right now. Okay, this is the reason that your body can move chemistry around, is this fluid-filled highway, they call it. Bacteria have flagella on there. They don't need them for no reason. They meet as a propeller. They go right through there. And they go and they accumulate and they grab a hold of stuff, they drag it over to the lymph nodes, they deposit it there, and all that happens through different, what they call ligands. They're little pinchers. They pinch all the different chemistry as they go through your body because they've lost an extra electron and they need one, and it grabs onto it and it brings it over to the lymph node and it says, I'll take it. They dump it there. Now the lymph node has to have the chemistry in it, which is also bacteria, which is enzymes, to attack this noxious toxins. If it doesn't, it eats through your lymph nodes and you get skin cancer. Everything is related in this. Everything is related. All right, this is what happens. When it eats through that layer right there is this layer right here. You see it? That layer right there is the fluid-filled highway. They never really realized it before. They sort of knew it was there, but never paid much attention to it. Now they realize this is this entire system where your enzymes and your bacteria move through your body. And right on that layer right there is where they live, and they squirt it right out. And they have some new video actually showing it actually happening. It's called Your Textbooks Are Wrong. This is what your cells look like. It's fabulous. All right, here's what we need. I think I've shown you pretty good evidence to stand behind the fact that fecal matter transplants, which are nothing more than bacteria, which is nothing more than enzymes. Right now, you can take the enzymes in supplements, and that's what Marguerite gave her son, but he wouldn't take pills. So what she ended up doing was taking this powder from Garden of Life, I believe it's called. That's the one I take. Garden of Life, I believe. It's by Nestle's. And everybody's, oh, Nestle's. Well, I'm telling you, I was pretty impressed with this product. And her son responded, but she had to put it in ice cream, which was a pretty good idea. I was really impressed. She was really good. Oh, boy. All right, I'm going to leave it at this. This is new research right now. First of all, it's a new organ. They now realize how the gut bacteria, which is tapped right into this system, all of that bacteria floats through your body. And if it's dead, there's nobody bringing the products, nobody picking the products up, nobody creating the enzymes. So that's why it breaks through. And it breaks through just right through that, like I showed before. Now, what we need is thumb up on here, please. We need to get more exposure. Subscribe, talk to people, talk to your doctors, ask them about this interstitial layer, ask them about bacteria and enzymes. And they'll all tell you, oh yeah, you should take probiotics, yeah, you should do this and that. Well, I think it's a little more than that. We should be able to get, it depends on if your digestive system isn't working well. I think that just about every disease now, it looks to me, is caused by a problem with this layer being invaded. Invasion is invasion. Now, some of it's cancerous, they call it. Some of it's tumor. Some of it's lesions, and, all kinds of different issues are caused. But the primary underlying cause of literally everything is the chemistry. And the underlying cause of the chemistry is the enzyme. And the underlying cause of the enzyme is the bacteria. And the underlying cause of the bacteria is an environment that is adaptive to it and supports it and does not destroy it and is not an antibiotic. It's a probiotic area. Your body will know which bacteria to make to be the strong bacteria, basically. That's what immunity is. In here, you have sensors that sense what's trying to attack you, and they literally create and program with those. I think I showed you this right now. Let me show you, make sure you understand. They actually program, right here. They look for signatures of chains of interactive molecules that are attacking you, and then they squirt out chains of molecules that turn into these RNA things. They're talking about vaccines. So basically, this is what it is. Your body makes them. It makes them by itself. That's what a natural immunity is a natural RNA mechanism that goes in and takes over that other cell and kills it and destroys it. Basically, think of it that way. We have sensors in us. And the sensors just understand who's attacking. And they say, make a code to attack this other guy. I know what his sequence is. And they make a code here, and that goes out and attacks the guy with this here. So that's our defensive system. And everything is based on the fact that this guy here is alive. He can create ribosomes, which are the enzymes encapsulated in little packages. Nothing more than an enzyme, nothing more than a virus. Not alive. It goes out, it's a chemistry set. It looks for something and says, bam! It grabs a hold of it, and it creates whatever chemistry it's designed to do. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands. They just found 30,000 new virus strains in a study they just did. And the flagellum is what propels them through all that fluid-filled highway. Single cell. But they grow, they still live. They live and they live and they live, and sooner or later they die, and one of his buddies comes along, cleans it up, takes it out to the lymph nodes to dump it. Your body's elegant. And this is what these proteins, enzymes, look like. The enzymes is the product of the bacteria. So the bacteria make this. This is the chemistry. Without that, nothing happens. So if you're being attacked and it's calling on one of these and the bacteria is not there to make it, you're going to get sick. That's called a pre-existing condition. If you're going to get invaded and you can't attack back, you're set up to get attacked. And here's what they look like. The enzymes are proteins. The same thing. Are enzymes proteins? Yes, they are. And where do enzymes come from? Bacteria. Bacteria are the things that create the proteins. And the proteins are very elegant. I think I showed you this. Yes, I did. These are the proteins. There's 20 different amino acids. And that's the protein chains. Polypeptide protein chains. And once they come out like this, all these different colors, they go brrr, and they turn into a ball. And that ball looks about like this. But it first comes out in a big long string of beads, which I showed you, and then all of a sudden it goes, and all of these are magnetic attachments. And they spin, and you twist me, and I hold you, and you hold me, and I grab you, and you do that, and they all, and that's it. And this is the structure of that protein. And it will not change. If it changes, it's called denatured. It doesn't work. And it all started by a squirt of this. All right, it all started by this squirt, which is the program. That's all it is, a program. That's all your body runs on is programs. And the program comes out of here to say, make some of this stuff and go out, and that stuff does what it's supposed to do. Your body knows all of this stuff. It's stunningly amazing. But the bacteria basically is what does virtually 100% of the chemistry in your body, 100%. Your body is the areas where the factories, the factory structure that the bacteria live in. And right there is your immune system. Okay, so we know the system's not working for us as far as this bacteria basically is what we're looking for. I don't care what you call it, fecal matter transplant. What we're looking for is the correct bacteria in the correct quantities, in the correct places in the body, and engrafted into that layer I showed you, which is the interstitial. Now, what I asked for before, I think, was we need thumbs up to help to support this. Try to, subscribe, talk to people. Ring the subscription bell so that you get notified. Make sure you keep an eye on things. Open your mind up and think about this and try to present it to other people in a positive way. It's very difficult because you're going to be rejected. It's just people push back on things that they are outside of what they've considered to be, the geniuses that run science. And unless you go to one of these schools and they tell you what to say, you don't qualify. So, and I've gone to the schools, but I don't say what they told me to say because I'm showing you evidence to support my statements. I'm not showing you statements somebody wrote. Now, what we need is funding. Nothing happens without funding. And what would we fund for? We need a database. We need some sophisticated equipment and some people that are going to be able to analyze healthy people's poop versus unhealthy people's poop and find out all these different, just like they did with the viruses. They found 30,000 viruses. The same things with the enzymes. The enzymes are going to be related to bacteria. Now, I have a possible way of using artificial intelligence to see these different bacteria and enzymes because they will all have a very unique magnetic signature, which equates to colors. Hold on a second. All right, you see this right here? When they put all these little colors on these beads, they didn't do it just because they wanted to make them colorful. They really have basically these colors. I don't know if they actually relate to these colors, but they have colors. And that's why you see these. They all have different colors, and those are different energetic values, really. The energetic value of the molecule and particle makes up the energy it gives off, the color it gives off, basically. Think of it that way. Now, again, colors, 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 colors. These are the colors. You see all these different oxidation states, these different plus. What they do is they have an affinity, a natural inclination to grab a hold of other molecules that have lost bits of their chemistry as they go through your body. These collect them up and destroy them, or collect them up and bring them to be used by your body. They do a whole variety of things. But the only way you get these transition metals moving around is with the bacteria in the blood. The blood primarily carries all these things around in these oxidation states. Iron +2, +3 states, vanadium, very powerful transition metal. And they all work in, they're called ligands, which are the groups that attach to the metal core. And that's how your body gets things transferring. Okay, my friends, I have a whole different take on this. They say they found 30,000 new viruses hiding in DNA of microbes. Well, what is a microbe? It's nothing more than a single-celled bacteria. And the bacteria make enzymes. And I say enzymes are viruses. So they found 30,000 virus enzymes, one or the other. And they admit that some of them are beneficial, some of them are not beneficial. But they found 30,000 new ones. And what they were doing was analyzing the genomes, that's the sequence, of single-celled microbes, that's the bacteria. A team of research made a startling discovery. Thousands of previously unknown viruses were hidden within the microbe's DNA. A virus is an enzyme. No difference whatsoever. It's encapsulated. It can't reproduce by itself. Neither can an enzyme. It's encapsulated and it's invasive, so is an enzyme. They both come apparently from some bacteria somewhere. Now they say viruses float through the air and all that. Well, yes, they do. They're in a little capsule. And so are the enzymes. But once they find where they want to attach, they attach. And they both do the same thing. A virus is an enzyme. No difference whatsoever. And that's what we needed to do, is get a database of all the enzymes from these single-celled microbes. and then find out what you don't have and I do have. If I'm sick or you're sick, something's going to show up in a database. If we have enough input into the database, we will find specific variations that will be almost exclusively happen almost every time, depending upon what chemistry you're missing. Basically, that's it. Okay, my friends, last words. We need some thumbs up on these videos I'm doing. I'm trying to get them out, and thumbs up helps. You need to subscribe, obviously. Hit the bell that says I want to be notified. There's a subscription bell. Get your mind open, and we've got to find somebody that has funding. Somebody that has skin in the game here. They have a family that has a problem. I mean, autism and this digestive issues, everybody's affected by this in the families. Specifically when autism and so forth hits young kids, it's heartbreaking. And there may not be a need for it, especially in the youth. Their immune system is developing, and it's very, very fragile. And some of the interventions that they do, they never realized had some consequences that they didn't realize could happen. So what we would need to know is, let's see what the feces is before these interventions, whatever they're doing, and then whatever it is afterwards. We need databases, and especially for the kids, the littlest ones. And then if we see something's missing, if you can supplement it right away, and if we can figure a way to engraft it back into where it's supposed to be, once it's killed in that layer, then you got a little bit of an issue. Once that layer it doesn't live there anymore, they don't want anybody coming back. So we have to figure a way to let it back in again. And I think I have a way. And actually there's a couple different ways I think should be tried. Because when they found they engrafted, boop, you're just back to being normal, everything's fine. So that's what I'm hoping for, is a huge change in the way things are done. And it's denial right now. What we need is an engagement, and just, but it's not going to happen through the mainstream, Food and Drug Administration and all the peer-reviewed stuff. They just don't do it that way. They just, it's a never-ending circular walking around in circles. You see, 1958, they knew how to address the C-Diff, and it can be used right now, I'm telling you, for virtually everything. Hippocrates said, all disease starts in the gut. He was right. And it's because this is what lives there. And if it doesn't live there in the correct quantities, in the correct species, you get sick. That's why some people can live in certain areas and no problems whatsoever. Other people come there, they drink the water and so forth, they're sick. That's what happens. Now, I hope somebody gets a hold of me and or somehow sets up something. I don't really want to be that involved, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm more of an idea guy. I'm not of a young enough age to pursue this correctly. And there's a lot of people who have the resources and the time to do this. All right, I got a lot of things going on. I got a lot of time. That's not an issue. But I don't have the resources, and we need somebody that does, and that can help in funding and set up a structure that we can do for these databases. There's a lot of people who have skills I do not have. I understand the chemistry, I understand the anatomy and all of that business pretty well now. So I'm a resource, but I'm not a organizer. All right, we need help.